Riddle me this, Batman. What do you get when you mix a roguelite dungeon crawler with Animal Crossing and everyone's innate desire to lead a cult? That's right, the critically acclaimed Stardew Valley. I don't know if I've ever actually played that game, but also you get the new Devolver Digital published game, Cult of the Lamb. Developed by Massive Monster, Cult of the Lamb lets you play as a cute little lamb that has been granted strength from the One Who Waits, the lamb's mysterious deity, and tasked with taking down 4 other false prophets containing the One Who Waits in its weird purgatory jail thing. In order to do this, the lamb creates a cult to gain power and following and goes back and forth between tending to the cult and running roguelite dungeons to get resources and take down bosses. The gameplay loop reminds me of a much less culty indie game from a few years ago, Moonlighter, where you go back and forth between tending to your shop by day and killing monsters by night. That game really grabbed me and would not let go. The question is, will running a cult give me the same joy? Let's get into the gameplay. I'm going to start with my less favorite half of the game, the roguelite dungeon runs. Now I'll be clear up front, this section of the game is not bad by any means, but it is not the reason to play this game, and it's more of a necessary roadblock in the way of what I actually wanted to do. A pretty standard melee attack, ranged spell, roll dodge setup that does not break the wheel, but is serviceable. But honestly, the best thing about this part of the game to me is that the runs are pretty short, typically lasting less than 10 minutes. You start each run with a randomized weapon and randomized spell. There are a variety of weapons and subtypes of weapons, but I do wish there was some sort of choice on what you start a run with. Some weapons were more fun to me, and it was up to pure chance if I would get to use that weapon type or not. There was always the chance I would get to find a better weapon along the way, but this was by no means a guarantee, sometimes leaving me to play with an approach that wasn't fun for me. But like I said previously though, the run times are short, making this sting a little bit less. After getting your starting equipment, you go from room to room, killing all enemies along the way, gaining resources, and even sometimes coming across special NPCs. My favorite part about these NPCs was the Hollow Knight-like babble they had when talking to me. I enjoyed that part quite a bit. Every run ends with a boss or a mini-boss battle, and these were pretty cool. The mini-bosses had a few variations that you either learned or just got stale, depending on your outlook of it, but the main bosses were good challenges that had unique movesets and designs. It was recommended to me to put this game on hard mode, and the bosses were no joke when doing so. One boss in particular took me getting to it 3 to 4 times before I could take it down. The other half of the game takes place in your home base, where you get to build up your very own homegrown cult, and this is easily my favorite part of the game. Things start relatively slow and unassuming, planting your standard crops, harvesting wood and stone, building various small buildings, but what sets Cult of the Lamb apart is the interactions you get to have with your loyal subjects. The interactions you have with your villagers totally differentiates this game from other base building games. The stuff they say to you and the things you can do to them is legitimately hilarious sometimes. The way you decide to act on the requests to your villagers and how to encourage them to work harder is a game within itself. I streamed the game once, and adding in friends to help decide the fate of your unfortunate villagers is a lot of fun. Villagers can become friends with one another, ask to fight one another, try to pull pranks on one another, the list goes on. I think it's best not to spoil all the different possible interactions and let the player experience them on their own. Some of these moments really made the game for me. Outside of interactions with your cultists, the game is a satisfying yet unrevolutionary base building loop. Getting materials to build better farms and structures and automate things is as fun as it is in any other game. Your village will turn to a well-oiled machine late game with cultists running around harvesting, planting, worshipping, and gathering everything you'll need to upgrade your lamb. These upgrades come in different varieties, unlocking new buildings and capabilities out in the village, and weapon and spell upgrades for the lamb inside your cool little tent thing. These upgrades will make you feel like you're having progress even if you're stuck on a particular boss or area on the other side. There are also some other areas to go check out with merchants and quests to find in the meantime, and even some extra mini games to try out as well. If I could spend more time in the base building side of the game rather than out exploring, I would, but sometimes you just need to go out and progress the story, which is only done through the dungeon running portion of the game. If I had to put one negative comment down in this portion of the game, it's that sometimes the villagers will give you annoying quests you don't really feel like doing, and if you decide to tell them no, you'll lose a lot of faith from the cult. It kind of forces you to do some dungeon runs you might not want to do at times, but overall this is more of an occasional annoyance rather than an actual problem. On a side note, one of the biggest complaints I had by the end game was my favorite part of the game, the cult village section, becomes much less enjoyable due to lag, drop and skip frames, frozen movement, etc. This may be a problem with the Switch hardware, which is where I played the game, but either way, it was upsetting for things to fall apart once my village starts coming together the way I work towards the entire game. I had several annoying glitches in the dungeons portions of the game. 2 to 3 times the game would completely freeze to the point where I had to close the game entirely, starting my run over, and one time I even finished a run, and as I was trying to pick up the item ending that dungeon, I got hit by a straggler enemy, and that broke the animation and left me soft locked in the last room. I could not leave the room, pick up the item, die, anything, so once again I had to close out of the game, starting this run over and having to beat the boss again. At the end of the day, I think Cult of the Lamb's strengths outweigh its weaknesses. The game is far from breaking the wheel on the dungeon running side of things, but the opportunities for funny interactions and ability to make your own metagame on the village side of the game really makes Cult of the Lamb feel unique. But after putting my time into it and rolling the credits, I don't really feel the need to go back to it, and I was satisfied where the game left off. Many roguelites dig their claws into you with the gameplay and give you that feeling like you have to keep playing and keep playing, but my main pull in Cult of the Lamb was to get my ideal village built, and once that happened right around rolling the credits, I did not feel the need to pick the controller back up, and you know what? That's okay. It respected my time, and I had a lot of fun getting to the end. I'll keep my eyes peeled for any future updates or DLC Massive Monster has planned, and who knows, maybe I'll jump back in, but for now, I can be happy that my cult is absolutely flourishing. Final score, 8 out of 10. Have you played any Cult of the Lamb? Let me know in the comments what you think of it if so. And hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, or maybe even consider joining the cult with that subscribe button. At the time of this recording, I'm streaming a Pokemon Emerald Nuzlocke run once or twice a week and preparing for some sort of October month of spooky games streaming thing. If you want to stop by the stream and say hi, that would mean a lot. I normally try to stream on Tuesdays and at least once on the weekend. That all being said, thanks again for watching. More to come, and see you soon.